Duke Nukem Forever is probably the most underrated FPS on the Xbox 360 in my opinion, and while I do see why people dislike it, I honestly have a blast every time I pick it up, and I recently beat it on the hard, come get some difficulty for the first time. Starting things off with the most important topic in a first-person shooter, I want to talk about combat. Unlike previous first-person shooters in the Duke Nukem series, you can only hold 2 firearms at once in the console version of Forever, although the limit was bumped up to 4 on PC. On the one hand, this was frustrating sometimes, as there were several situations in which I wanted to hold more guns, but I also appreciated this change, in that it made swapping between weapons faster versus on PC with a controller, where you have to cycle through 4 weapons, and it also encouraged the player to just be better and to use your ammo more wisely. And while all guns got ammo nerfs from previous games, I'm referring to 3D and Advance, ammunition is really easy to find and I rarely completely ran out. As for the guns themselves, you have an M1911 pistol, good for medium and short-range combat, a pump-action shotgun which got a massive range nerf from its 3D predecessor, a machine gun, a couple explosive weapons, a sniper rifle, and the freeze ray as far as human guns go. Now explosive weapons, being the RPG and Devastator weapon, were interesting, and that bosses can only be killed with explosives and turrets, but more on those later. I'm not sure why this was a thing, since in other games you could kill bosses with any weapon. I mean, it's a creative idea I guess, making it so that you have to use select tools of combat to eliminate the big baddies, but it's kind of a why thing. Who knows? Anyways, as for the sniper, it's a really powerful gun that can one-hit most enemies on the normal difficulty, but it only holds a whopping 12 rounds, so you definitely have to use your ammo wisely with it. Now the freeze ray was the exact opposite in the ammo department, as it has unlimited ammo and uses a recharge system, but I wasn't a big fan of it as a whole. As for alien firearms, I didn't really care for them, and I only used them when I had no other choice. Now there was one other gun in the single-player campaign, being the Shrink Ray, which made enemies tiny and allowed you to stomp on them. I'm not sure if this is an alien or a human gun, as you can pick it up beside a dead scientist on one level, and while it is a decent gun, it's held back by its measly 10-round ammo reserve, and like the freeze ray, I didn't use it much. Apart from your guns, you can perform melee weapon bashes, you can smash enemies if you've frozen them with the freeze ray, you have handheld explosives, and executions. Now I thought the executions were really cool. You basically stun an enemy by shooting them, and then you punch their head off, and doing this refills your HP bar, or ego bar, as it's referred to in this game and Land of the Babes. I like Duke games if you can't tell. Anyways, you also have neat power-ups, like night vision glasses, a hollow Duke that distracts enemies and makes you invisible. You also have beer, that makes you resistant to damage, and steroids, which also ups your damage resistance while increasing your melee attack damage. Now a couple of the power-ups sadly had downsides, like after drinking beer, your vision is blurred and you can't run. You also can't run while on roids, and you're limited solely to melee punches and you can't use your gun. I just find it a little odd that power-ups have negative effects, since power-ups didn't have negative effects in 3D. Anyways, the jetpack was removed from SP, although I seem to recall seeing it in multiplayer on PC. Medkits were also removed, but Forever adopted a regenerating health system, so medkits weren't really needed. And finally, the oxygen tank power-up was removed as well, but Forever has almost no water sections compared to 3D, so there was no real need for it. As far as enemy variety, DNF has a fairly sized roster of alien bastards, and several cool bosses, although one of the bosses was rather weird. If you've played this game, you know the one that I'm talking about. And I'd say that wraps up combat. Apart from fighting, this game has some really cool driving sections where you can drive an RC car as a shrunken mini Duke, and also some awesome monster truck levels. I'm not sure how other people felt about the monster truck levels, but I thought they were really fun, and in my opinion, Duke's truck, called the Mighty Foot, looks really cool. This title also has several platforming sections and some puzzles which were a bit frustrating on my first playthrough, but they are much easier to appreciate after you've beaten the game once. As far as story goes, it's nothing too special. Duke Nukem once again saves the world from an alien invasion. Again, it's not really special, but nobody plays Duke games for the story. But that being said, I do have to give the story some negative marks, in that Duke's character felt a little off. I didn't notice it as much on my first playthrough, but Duke is a bit of a jerk in this game. Like when his friend Dylan died, Duke just joked about it. Or when a couple girls were captured by aliens, Duke again just jokes about it. I mean, he was never Andy Griffith as far as being a wholesome person, but he felt more, I don't know, self-centered when compared to some of the other games. And also, the adult themes in Forever were a bit too much, like the strip club level, for example. I think the game could have been just fine without that, although I did like the arcade section, and there were a ton of adult jokes just tossed in very frequently. And I get it, Duke likes hot girls, all of us guys do, but it just felt a bit too in your face when compared to the likes of Duke 3D and Advance. Changing topics to a positive, I will praise all of the interactable items that DNF offers. You can turn lights on and off, spin toilet paper rolls, use urinals, pick up chocolate hot dogs from toilets and throw them around, you can eat food that's lying around, use microwaves, turn on and off sinks, the list goes on. And some interactable objects give you ego boosts the first time you use them. Like, the first time Duke looks at himself in a mirror and you press X to interact, you gain an HP upgrade. Or, things like the basketball and pinball minigames can give you ego upgrades. Oh yeah, there are a couple of pinball machines scattered around the game that you can play. And there's also a couple pool tables, an air hockey game, a whack-a-mole spin-off, basketball, like I just said, and more. So Duke Nukem Forever gets an A with being able to interact with the environment. Although I do think there was a missed opportunity to add minigames for Duke Nukem 1 and 2. As in the Duke Burger level, you can see arcade machines that say they're Duke Nukem 2, but you can't actually use them. I don't know why these weren't added. It couldn't have been that much extra work. I bought Duke 1 and 2 off Zoom platform for my PC, and they are very small in size, so they could have probably very easily fit into this game. Or maybe the devs could have even put in the Game Boy Color Duke Nukem game. My point is, a missed opportunity here. As far as multiplayer goes, I can't say much here. My Game Pass is expired, but while it was still active in December of 2025, I checked a few times, and I actually did find one person playing on one occasion, but he left the game after 2 seconds, so no real comment here. Anyways, winding down my review, the game looks good graphically, although the PC version looks better, and the console version also has some really long loading times, and it could get a bit laggy if a lot was going on at once, but it's nothing to get super worked up over. The soundtrack to this game is great, along with the sound effects and voice actors, and I give Duke Nukem Forever a 9 out of 10 by my grade scale. A very underrated and overhated game in my opinion, although I would like to note that I gave the PC version a 9.8 out of 10, and the Xbox version got a lower score for its Skyrim-like loading times, slightly less good performance, inferior graphics, and the lack of the 4-gun option. But even with that, this is a really great game in my opinion, and one of my favorite first-person shooters that is a total blast, and I hope that one day Duke gets another true game. But until then, give Duke Nukem Forever a spin. Used copies are cheap, and the game gets frequent digital sales on Xbox and Steam, and it is backwards compatible on modern Xbox consoles if you want to play it that way. As far as similar games I could recommend, maybe Serious Sam HD or Quake 4. And for anybody who is interested, I will have my review of DNF on PC in the end card, and the next Duke video I'll probably make will be reviewing the Doctor Who Clone Me DLC, that or a review of Manhattan Project. And for anybody who is new to my channel, I mostly review and discuss Xbox 360 games, so maybe sub if that sounds like your thing. As far as our Bible verse of the day, I read Hebrews 4:12 NIV. For the word of God is alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It penetrates even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow. It judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. And like always, none of my content is ever made by robots. I proudly create my own stuff, and I don't consent to my voice and likeness to be modified, altered, and copied by robots in any way, shape, or form. Jesus is king, and he loves you all. Thanks for putting up with my bad narrations. My voice is about to die, and I need some water, so have a good one. Peace. As for the guns themselves, you have an M1911 pistol. I'm not sure if this is an alien or a human gun, as you can pick it up beside a dead scientist on one level, and while it's a decent gun, it's held back by its 10-round ammo